It is the 21st of November 2022, just a couple of days before we end this and just the first day after the Qatar World Cup. If you don't know the scoreline, then I don't think you belong to this world. I'm not going into that, but thank you very much for choosing to begin your day with us right here on Lookuptv, but most certainly the Morning Drift. My name is Simba Kiage. It is the Monday, and as usual then, I'm not alone because Amwai Brian Amwai is with us here right in the studio. Amwai Brian, good morning.
Good morning to you. How are you? You doing good?
Fantastic, fantastic.
It
is Monday. What is important is that we're breathing, isn't it?
Yeah. Everything is important, like we always say.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't have a choice.
Yes. A lot of developments around us. Amwai, could we begin with the update on
there is an update, sort of a breaking news at this particular moment, where a 5-story building in Ruiru town in Kiambu has actually collapsed. Now, the building collapsed after more than 100 tenants were evacuated when cracks were seen on its pillars on Sunday, and we saw Governor Matangi actually leading that rescue operation yesterday. In just hours after finishing that rescue operation, the building went down, and this came as a result of them receiving a report from the National Construction Authority and the Ruiru OCPD that building was actually at the verge of collapse, then leading them to lead that evacuation process. Now, hours later, we receive reports that it has actually gone down, Simba. That is what we are waking up to in terms of breaking news this particular morning. I'm
telling you, man. The rate at which buildings are collapsing is worrying, isn't it?
Yep.
What proves them?
Which it's actually the second building to collapse in Kiambu within 1 week. So the first one was on November 17th, and we were actually talking about it the other day and asking who is responsible when it comes to this, because people are not being held to account. And here we are again.
Here we are, I'm telling you. It even makes you scared, isn't it, of the buildings in Nairobi, because there's a report that was also released by the National Construction Authority, isn't it, that says that 3 out of 10 buildings within the city need to come down because they're not safe. And Amwai, the worrying thing as well is that the owners of these buildings are right here within us. They're just walking. Yeah. And the county governments that allow these constructions to go on in contravention of the building code are also walking scot-free.
Okay. Now, this is the thing, putting profit before safety. The most important thing here is how much are you going to get from this particular building and the tenants that are actually going to be living there, and not minding about their safety.
I'm telling you.
Is it a safe place for them to live? Does it, things like that? And we don't give focus to that more than the time.
Other than that, the things that are turning around us is World Cup. Amwai, did you watch the opening ceremony?
And
no, if not the match, the opening ceremony.
I missed it.
Yeah, you need to. So you did not watch Morgan Freeman. Do you know what they say? His voice alone is 1 billion Kenyan shillings. Just to have his voice in your project, you got to pay 1 billion Kenyan shillings. That's a lot of money, isn't it? But I did like the opening ceremony.
Why is that the case? Is it because I've had some time back, and this conversation has been happening, I think, in the movie arena, where he's called the voice of God or something like that. When people say the voice of God is actually Morgan Freeman, I don't know if he did a movie about God or something like that. I don't know.
No, it is him. When he speaks, you know that's Morgan Freeman, isn't it? Yeah, no other way that somebody's going to speak. When we're talking about intellectual property, that particular one, oof, I'm telling you, man, that was a beautiful opening ceremony. But here's the thing, we'll be talking about that as we go on, because apparently now you cannot drink at the venues in Qatar. And then there's no hugging, kissing, or the provocative dressing that that the World Cup has been appreciated with.
Why do you speak as if you're against that?
Yeah?
Why do you speak as if it's something that you don't agree with?
Yeah, I don't agree with it.
Come on.
I'll tell you that. But once we come to the trends, I'll be telling you why. Right. Okay? Anyway, we take a tiny breather right here on the Morning Drift. Now remember, if you want to be a part and parcel of this conversation, Lookuptv is your Actually, across all our social, wow, it's a Monday. And Lookuptv across your social media platforms. The hashtag is the morning drift. You can join me at Kiage Simba, Amwai brand. At Amwai brand. That's the one. I told you to change it to the Amwai brand. But anyway, that's where we are right now. Once we come back, we'll just review. All right, welcome back. In case you're just joining us, this is the Morning Drift. My name is Simba Kiage. I'm not alone, I'm with Amwai Brian. Amwai Brian, I do know now you do have the Daily Nation. What are they headlining?
I do have the Daily Nation, and we have storm over GMOs. That is that story that is being given priority here on the Daily Nation. And Azimio leader Raila Odinga once planned to import GM maize halted, even as he challenges the government to make available scientific studies it relied on to lift ban on genetically modified organisms, and asks legislators to lead a debate on the grave matter. Now, that is a story that's actually on page 2 and 3 of the Daily Nation, where Raila Odinga with other Azimio legislators yesterday giving a presser in regards to the GMO, that's actually the GMO debate that's actually happening in the country as we speak right now. And we heard that we have like 10 million bags of genetically modified maize actually coming into the country, and that is what led to this particular presser. That is a story that you can actually get to read on page 2 and 3 of the Daily Nation. Simba, what's your take on that as we continue this conversation?
The conversation on GMO, by the way, you really, and we're going to go online and see exactly what majority of Kenyans are speaking about it. My problem is that by the way, the majority of the foods that we take, Amwai brand, the tomatoes that are on your table, the eggs that you're taking, are they not GMO?
Now, they said that's what happens in the country. We are being told that we do not have anything genetically modified in the country yet. A great
chicken, is it not GMO? As a genetically improved organism?
Well, I asked that question sometime back.
Kuna kuku ya kienyeji?
What?
Na kuna kuku ambayo si ya kienyeji.
Yeah.
What do we call that in Swahili? Kuku ambayo si ya kienyeji.
Kuku ambayo si ya kienyeji, kuku ya.
My bread. Anyway, so when you put them together and then say, these are the products that we don't have on the table. A grade cattle, the fashion cattle, is that no GMO? My brand, it is. It's very much GMO. The Ken chick that you take, that it's actually 12 weeks old. If you take chicken from Ken chick or KFC,
so
is that no GMO?
Is that it's what they eat that makes them grow a little bit bigger, but not changing the DNA or something like that.
Was that? No, but the DNA, that when you improve the production of freshened cattle from the traditional one will give you maybe 3 liters a day.
Okay.
But there's some great cattle that will give you up to 40 liters a day. That's essentially GMO. A big egg in the chicken that lay up to 3 eggs a day. That's GMO. Why are we running away from that? Anyway.
Listen, you see, this is what brought this debate, and I think it's also been happening. Because you are all worried whether you're going to die of genetically modified organisms if they actually do come into the country. Now, this is what the CS of Church said. Being in this country, you are a candidate for death, and because there are many things competing to kill you in this country, there is nothing wrong with adding GMOs to the list. So, listen, GMO, some excellent. If at all what we say, what the conversation is anything to go by, that they're not good for our health and may actually lead to our death, then it actually has gotten to there are 100 ways to die in this country. And this is something about it. They say, if a cabinet secretary stands up and says, we are going to bring then it is already here.
So
That's a conversation that has already been done.
Yeah.
It is not that we are in the process of now getting to acquire genetically modified organisms. It is that we are going to bring, it is here already. We are just telling you, by the way, you are just about to start consuming it.
No, it's there.
Yeah.
And by the way, the way it's planned, this GM maize, yeah, all the packets are going to be indicated that this GM maize.
But
Do you think majority
no,
of people are going to do that?
No. This is the thing. I believe a lot of people might not get to do that, and we need to have a proper structure of just making sure that anything that is GMO actually gets to be, to be labeled that this is actually GMO. I was taking breakfast today, and there's a packet of the cereals that I was actually taking, and it was written GMO free. So I'm like, okay. So if the moment I saw that, I started being afraid. Because you could actually be telling me it's GMO free, but to some extent it's not. So what exactly, because it's not like it is different in color, that we are actually going to say, by the way, this is GMO because it looks like this. It's more or less the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, man.
Yeah.
Now, is that it from the Daily Nation?
Something else from the Daily Nation. We are looking at COP27 hits and misses. No deal on emissions, but parties agree to set up loss and damage fund. That's a story that's actually on page 8. And somebody was arguing, Simba, that some of us went to Egypt to actually, have nations, the nations that do contribute to matters, climate pollution and all that, to agree and probably offer an apology on things like that. But that is something that, seemed not to have, sailed through. Let me just take you through it. Now, COP27 has failed to deliver a plan to drastically reduce emissions, even as it welcomed loss and damage agenda while calling for a roadmap to double adaptation finance to $40 billion by 2025. Now, this is despite parties for the first time, after 30 years, agreeing to establish a loss and damage fund that will help developing countries deal with the devastating impacts of the climate crisis. Now, according to the cover text, which was released 3 days ago on the United Nations official website, the Global Climate Meet, which ended yesterday in Sharm el-Sheikh, Egypt, had only welcomed loss and damage agenda. Now, this is the thing.
Yeah.
When we talk about, and I think we asked ourselves this question when the COP27 was starting and said, what did we learn from COP26? Did we implement that? And what is it that we're going to discuss in COP27? Is it going to be implemented? Because, developed nations have been blamed for not, putting emphasis or rather just taking it seriously when it comes to, getting to deal with whatever, or rather, putting whatever they had agreed on the table and say, this is exactly what's the agreement and we want to work on it. So their willingness to work on those particular issues is actually one thing. That's the thing.
I'll tell you that, man. Anyway, on the standards, that there's how Raila now, as I said, that Ruto is a puppet of Western forces. You've got to read into that story on page 6, and that is stemming from the conversation on GMO that Amwai was bringing us from the Daily Nation, and also how the football bonanza that started yesterday happened. Read into that on pages 38, 39, and 40, as well as how the rich nations will pay for climate change destruction is a story that has also been covered by the Standard. You've got to read into that story on pages 13, and how the Hustler Fund has been unpacked on how now it's turning from, they say, Amwai brand.
Yep. If
the maximum is 50,000 and border would only cost upwards of 80,000, is it really the Hustlers Fund?
There's the thing. Somebody argued and said this was money for Mama Mboga. It wasn't for people who want
Sasa Mama Mboga ndio anaenda kutumia hiyo boda. Si Mama Mboga anatumia boda kupeleka supply shambani ama kwa market.
Sasa si boda ni dynasty.
Now wezi pata boda na 50,000 unless it's second hand. Yeah.
And kidogo hiyo ni throw away.
Yeah. I'll tell you that. Anyway, hopefully you've also gone through the CBC task force and you've already gotten in your views. Now, parents are saying reduce workload. They have been told already. Anyway, reading that story on page 10. Okay. On this particular time, then, Amwai Brown, I just want us to wash to what is trending online, so we can see what majority of Kenyans are getting into this morning. All right, here we are now. Let's then cross over to our notification center this morning. I don't know whether it's ready so we can actually get to read it together and see what it is that Kenyans are talking about this morning. Some of these conversations are the ones that we've been having this morning with Amwai brand right here. All right, let's jump into that first one. And I think it's going to touch on GMO. Do we have the notification center ready this morning? Are the tweets ready? Trying to get the attention of... are they ready? Are they? All right, my Brian. I don't think we have them ready. Anyway, let's just try and source them from this conversation this morning. And this is from what we have here, GMO. Let's pick this conversation on GMO, and I will tell you what it is. I'm just trying to get them ready. In fact, I could. There's this particular one that I wanted to read to you. Do we have them? Come on. Yeah, it's a Monday. Just give me a moment. Yeah, bear with me. Yeah, it's coming up now, and I will count shortly. Wow. Wow, Amwai, hold on. Can we go on with that conversation as I...
And that's what I'm saying. And this is the thing. I think the GMO debate actually was made worse with what the CS for Trade actually said. Yeah. And also we see the Senator Cherard Gay, that is Nandi Senator, saying, but as a country, we do have enough. There are people in, how do you call it, Muranga or Nyandarua and all those places that have cabbages on the farm and they are going bad, yet other parts of the country actually sleeping hungry. And the GMO in this country, bringing GMO in the country has to do with dealing with the issue of food security. They say we as a country are having a problem when it comes to matters food security. So there's nothing wrong with when we, source genetically modified organisms in the country so that we can be able to deal with that. And we also saw Bill Gates, that is, the American philanthropist, actually coming to the country and saying everything I check is actually genetically modified. So there's nothing wrong with it. I endorse this one immediately. So if you're going to implement it, if you're going to take it, there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing is going to happen for you. As a matter of fact, maybe you are actually going to be as rich as I am. I'll tell you that. That's beside the point. Listen. Yeah. So this whole debate has resulted from that, where we have farmers that have gone to the have planted and probably right now they are harvesting, and when genetically modified maize comes into the country, they're not going to benefit from that, because now the argument is that they'll be forced to reduce the price of maize, and at what price they're going to be selling it at, because of this imported maize that will actually be here at a cheaper price. That's the thing. So they say, let's exhaust whatever we have first, whatever our farmers have actually, harvested, before we think of actually importing. Because if we do not, then you're going to kill our farmers, something close to that. I'll tell you that. Yeah.
Let me just read for you this tweet by Miguna, who says, I say a firm no to the mad rush to import GMO maize and other foods to Kenya. I believe that it's responsible and amounts to recklessness on the part of the Kenya Kwanza government. Such national policy shifts should be preceded by wide national consultations and debate.
Remember, that's something that we didn't get to see when on matters of debate. And somebody, when actually this was happening, you are asking and you are having this conversation and saying, which cabinet is actually saying, by the way, let's have GMO? The outgoing cabinet, do they have the capacity to do that? The incoming cabinet it wasn't the incoming cabinet, it wasn't the Ruto's cabinet, it was actually former President Uhuru Kenyatta's cabinet that okayed it.
I'll tell you that as well. Anyway, Amwai, this morning as well, Ruiru is trending, and we do know why. You started the show with that particular update, and I will tell you that and Kiambu County is as well trending just because of that. The building, the 5-story building in Ruiru town at Kiambu County has collapsed a few minutes after more than 100 tenants were evacuated when cracks were seen on its pillars yesterday. Kiambu Governor Kimani Wamatangi, together with the firefighters, led the rescue operations last evening.
Now, he is getting a lot of credit for that.
Come on.
Social media. Let me just read something from Liliana Bilia says, God is great. The quick action yesterday by the governor, Kia Wamatangi, has saved many lives. This could have been worse since it had occupants. May we always put God first. The department in charge of building and construction needs an overhaul. El Nino, this one is Kayo Cyrus, says, now we must give credit to Governor Wamatangi. I'm telling you, he's getting a lot of credit for that. He moves in swiftly and quickly.
For what exactly, Brian?
For noticing that there is a problem, people are going to lose their lives, and acted on that particular.
And then did what? And then did what?
Led the evacuation process. Simba,
is this going to be? Because it's the second building in Kiambu County that goes on.
You see, now maybe we are learning lessons. We are learning lessons when you see something, we start questioning and say, okay, this one is a disaster in waiting. Let's get people out of here before we start crying and saying, oh, by the way, we lost lives and things like that.
Wouldn't you have liked it, even did now, Kiambu County, with this particular news that we're getting from that particular county, especially in Ruiru as well, that some buildings would already been demolished as we speak? Do you think that that's what we need to get ahead of? Because then people need to get the tight, I think the bitter lesson would be for the county government to move in, get court orders then to demolish the 3 out of 10 buildings in Nairobi that are not up to date with the building code. Then from that we say, thank God we have Wamatangi, as opposed to him being there when the building goes down. Dude, Kimani Wamatangi, listen, I would have loved for you to do a presser and say in the next 1 month or so, all those buildings that have not followed the building code in the city are going to be earmarked completely, and then after that, advise residents to either move out or know before moving in, okay? And then afterwards, we're going to give you a plan on exactly how these buildings are going to be brought down. Okay. Then that will be governance for us to say that, well, we do have a working governor. But when ukienda hapo itisa when you kwanza, you're not supposed to be there, because the question, but Amwai Brian,
by example, you cannot tell, you don't send people to, you listen, in this country, we appreciate leaders who are seen on the ground.
That's being what, reactive as opposed to being proactive. Proactive could have been sit in your office, come up with a commission that is going to go around the county and you mark those buildings that are not safe, advise tenants to move out so we can teach these landlords a lesson, and then after that, within the first 1 year, then tell us how these buildings are either going to be upgraded or demolished. Proactive as opposed to being reactive. Tumekuona mara mbili bana kwa hizo buildings, alafu so kesho tena utakuwa kwa wengine.
Si mara mbili, mara tatu.
Actually thrice, isn't it? So is it going to be in the third one?
Na amekuwa kwa serikali mara tatu.
Mbwana. Allah? Even
listen,
Sakaja.
Listen.
Yeah. Even Sakaja. The thing about being on the ground, but you are, Amwai, you are governor. Essentially what you are is the CEO. Yes, once in a while, come out and inspect how the people that you've appointed to this particular ministries are working, isn't it? Yeah. And after that, then be on the ground, but no inspect. Come on. Anyway.
Let me just read this one before we break. Just says, after this, tenants watakuwa wanaona crack kwa ploti wanahepa.
That's it. That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's how it's supposed to be.
Life yako ni important. Don't sit there waiting for disaster.
Man. I support. But anyway, let's see what they do. Sakaja included, isn't it? All right. We take a short break right here on the Morning Drift. Once we come back, I'll be taking you straight to the newsroom so that we can see some of the biggest headlines that you are waking up to this morning.
Vera Beauty and Fashion College is focused on being the leading technical and vocational training institute in the region. Our team possesses in-depth knowledge and extensive experience in the industry, offering thorough training in cosmetology, hairdressing, interior design, creative arts, training of trainers, nail technology, and fashion design. With branches in Nairobi, Thika, Meru, Eldoret, and now in Mombasa, our courses ensure that learners are completely equipped with knowledge, competency, and employability skills. Enroll today to be a part of a center of excellence.
Welcome, you're watching The CEO. On this show, where we invite masters, captains of industry.
It's all about working in teams. Customers are happy, it's a good month, the markets are good. I mean, those are very exciting moments.
Ladies and gentlemen who tell us where and how to find money and put money in our pockets and how to go about doing business in the best possible way.
For me, I'm not serving myself, I'm serving community.
Hapa kazi tu inaendelea kuwasaka na kuwatambua wale ambao wanafanya kazi extraordinary na zile kazi za kujituma.
Biashara yote unaambiangwa, as long as you have a plan, you can do it. Our service is about kufurahisha the customer.
Mpenzi mtazamaji, hii ni hapa kazi tu.
The Healing Jesus campaign is coming to Kenya. Join evangelist Dag Heward-Mills as he preaches the gospel of salvation with miracles, signs and wonders. The campaign will be held in 2 towns, Thika on the 29th of November to the 1st of December and Nyeri from the 2nd to 4th of December at 4 p.m. each night. There will also be a dynamic gathering for pastors dubbed Identifying Dangerous Enemies Conference during the mornings of the Thika campaign from the 29th of November to the 1st of December. In addition, there will be a pastors conference on the 3rd of December, which is the second day of the Nyeri campaign. For more information and registration, please call the numbers on the screen. +254 792 123 789 or +254 724 049 619. You can also visit the website ideckenya.org. Kenya will never be the same again after this encounter with the Anointed and His anointing through the Healing Jesus campaign. We will see you there.
Well, welcome back. My name is Simba Kiage. You're watching The Morning Drift. Let's cross over to the newsroom. We can get to tell you the biggest headlines that you're waking up to this morning. Now, the much anticipated football tournament, the World Cup, has officially kicked off with the host Qatar having played their opening match against the South American side, Ecuador. The tournament will see all the 32 teams competing for one golden trophy, with 5 times champions Brazil having touched down Doha late Saturday. Qatar made history as the first Arab nation to host the prestigious tournament after years of controversy. On Monday, World Cup favourites England will play Iran as African champions Senegal play Netherlands in a tough Group A fixture, with the last match of the day seeing USA playing Wales later tonight.
The long wait is over. 20th of November, the date all football fans have been waiting for. The biggest tournament in sports, the FIFA 2022 World Cup in Qatar. In the midst of all the controversy surrounding Qatar as the hosts, after 12 years of questions and criticisms, the Arab nation finally played their maiden World Cup tournament against South America's side Ecuador. The tournament has been surrounded by controversies with organizers banning purchase and consumption of alcohol inside or within the perimeter area of any of the 8 stadia, with human rights activists also adding to the heat by accusing Qatar of violating these rules in the preparation process. But in the midst of the drama, it gets even more exciting on Monday as action continues with World Cup favourites England playing against Iran, with a heated match between African giants Senegal, and after that, Wales play USA. Gareth Southgate's side have hit a poor run of form, collecting winless runs in their last 6 games as they look a step further from reaching the semi-finals as they did 4 years ago in Russia. Wales, on the other hand, will make an appearance for the first time since 1958 and will aim to reach the knockout stage once again. The hit goes on the same day when Senegal play Netherlands in a tough Group A fixture. Senegal will miss the services of forward Sadio Mane, who steps in as a crucial player for the Lions of Teranga after leading his side to AFCON victory. Marian Kegeni, Lookuptv.
3 teachers have been reported dead after a school bus carrying a group of people crashed in a Taita Taveta County as the famous Josaka's Black Spot. The Memon Academy school bus was reportedly ferrying teachers from a burial function on a Saturday evening before the tragic incident, as Samia Deka reports. Well, the details on that story is that 3 died on the spot and others died while receiving treatment. Now, moving on. According to statistics from the National Transport and Safety Authority, cases of road accidents have been on the rise this year, with 3,924 people losing their lives, signaling a rise of close to 200 fatalities as compared to last year. Ian Kitani files the following report.
The statistics from the National Transport and Safety Authority have indicated that a total of 4,103 people have lost their lives due to road carnages as at the 17th of November this year, indicating a 4% rise from last year.
As at 17th November, we have recorded 18,474 crash victims, of which 4,103 were fatal. 8,371 were serious injuries, while 6,000 were slight injuries. In 2021, at the same time, that is 17th November 2021, the fatalities were 3,947.
This comes at a time when the authority led the nation in marking the World Day of Remembrance for the road accident victims at the Milimani Law Courts in Nairobi, where various survivors narrated their encounters, airing their frustrations in the pursuit of compensation from government.
Accidents, when they happen, emergency at the hospitals, that's another nightmare. A big nightmare. Mpaka mtu unakuta mtu ameumia kwa barabara, ukifika hospitali anaangaliwa kama sinema hapo. You have seen all what has been going. Kenyatta Hospital imetajwa, ingine imetajwa, ingine imetajwa. You see, mpaka unashindwa utapeleka huyu mtu wapi akimpata kwa barabara.
Today, I'm speaking as a victim, saying that while you might think injustice happens once, but if we allow road crashes to continue the way they are, it is a lifetime condemnation.
According to the statistics released by NTSA, those mostly affected are pedestrians and drivers, with the chairperson of the National Transport and Safety Authority urging Kenyans to be more keen on the roads.
We have lost 1,486 pedestrians, 1,085 boda riders, 721 passengers, 378 drivers, 377 pillion passengers, and 56 cyclists.
The Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions has assured the victims of fast-tracking of their cases, with the Ministry of Transport indicating its plans to upgrade major roads and conduct sensitization on matters road safety.
On its part, my ministry plans to take several interventions toward road transport management, including design better roads and enhance road maintenance to reduce incidences related to road infrastructure. Extensive road safety sensitization and awareness, mainstreaming road safety in all MDAs.
In Uasin Gishu County, Transport and Public Works Executive Member Engineer Joseph Lagat is urging road users to be keen and observe traffic rules, especially during the festive season.
It's the wish of the county government that we have our road users following the rules, the road traffic rules that are there, so that we minimize on these road crashes or road accidents.
With statistics indicating that the number of road carnages and fatalities are on the rise year in, year out, the challenge is now on the key stakeholders to put in place a raft of measures to curb the never-ending menace. Ian Keitani, Lookuptv at the Milimani Law Courts.
Keburo Area Chief in Aldai, Nandi County, Esther Busene, has warned parents with candidates who are expected to sit for the national examination in the next few days against circumcising their male children before finishing their exams. Speaking in a funeral function in the area, Busene has reiterated an attitude of disrupting the national examination calendar, especially this December season, where the Kalenjin communities are preparing their rituals of circumcision for their children, adding that the government would take legal action against any parent who disregards the right to education for their children.
While the candidates are anticipating to sit their national exams this year, parents have been urged to protect their children during the 2-month holidays against early pregnancies and drugs. Speaking at St. Peter's Lorugum Catholic Church, Loima Sub-County, Turkana First Lady Lilian Kamudei Ekamais has indicated that many students are prone to indulge in drugs while in school break, while others...
Pia mitihani inaanza. Na tumepata report kwamba watoto wanaenda jandoni kuanzia next week. Tafadhali usichukue mtoto ambaye ni candidate ukampeleka jandoni awache kufanya mitihani. Hiyo ndio tangazo niko nalo. Wazazi wameamua watoto waende jandoni badala ya watoto wafanye mitihani ambayo inawapeleka darasa lingine. Na tukikupata mtoto ataendelea kuwa jandoni na wewe uko ndani. Hiyo tu acha tukutangazia hadharani. Sisi hatutaweza kusumbuliwa. Watoto wanatakana wasome. Patia, hata mimi nashangaa. Mzazi kama huyo anadhamini masomo kweli? Tafadhali tutangulishe masomo mbele. Jandoni inaweza ngoja, baada ya jandoni mtoto akishamaliza form 4 kutakuwa na nafasi, peleka yeye jandoni. Yule wa class 8 wacha afanye mtihani kwa sababu wanamaliza mtihani 30th or 31st. Si kuna nafasi ya kwenda jandoni? Tafadhali tusipate mtoto ameenda jandoni na ni candidate, alafu wewe uko nyumbani atunalisha yule mtoto ako jandoni. Utalishia ndani ama utasaidiwa. Hatutakubali hiyo.
I do apologize for the little mix at the start of that story. Now, as the national examinations are expected to commence this month, Turkana's First Lady Liliana Kamudei Ekamais has advised parents to take care of the children while at home during the 2 months break to avoid early pregnancy and the use of drugs.
While the candidates are anticipating to sit their national exams this year, parents have been urged to protect their children during the 2-month holidays against early pregnancies and drugs. Speaking at St. Peter's Lorugum Catholic Church, Loima Sub-County, Turkana First Lady Lilian Kamudei Ekamais has indicated that many students are prone to indulge in drugs while in school break, while others get pregnant early, which makes them drop out of school.
Mtapata watoto wote wamepata mimba, wameharibika, tutalaumu nani? Tutalaumu nani tukiwa wazazi? Tafadhali mzazi ambao uko na mtoto, hata kama ni mtoto wa dada wako, hata kama ni mtoto wa jirani ambaye amekuja kukaa kwako, tunza kwa njia inayofaa. Chukua nafasi hiyo kuweka mtoto wako karibu na wewe. Chukua hiyo nafasi kutunza mtoto wako.
In a rejoinder, Bishop John Binda stated that many students misuse drugs while on vacation.
Sasa ni wakati wakienda likizo, kwa sababu itakuwa likizo ndefu kidogo ya kama miezi miwili, watii wazazi. Wawe na muda pia wa kusali, kuomba wakiwa pale nyumbani.
Narok County has a similar situation where teenage pregnancies have developed into a serious concern, seeing as how the number of pregnant girls still continues to grow. Agnes Ntutu, the First Lady, has called on stakeholders and parents to work together to prevent early pregnancies.
It is us, parents, who have failed. We are not teaching our children values. Tumewachia walimu peke yao waongeleshe watoto wetu. It is not business as usual. Usikie Narok County saa hii watoto wale wanakalia mtihani darasa la 8 na la 6 na la kidato cha 4. Tunaambiwa wasichana saa hizi wako na mimba.
Grace Mureithi, Lookuptv.
President William Ruto wants the Kenya Revenue Authority, KRA, to double its collections from 2.1 trillion to over 4 trillion shillings. Ruto explained that increasing revenue collection would aid the country in getting out of its debt situation.
Amen.
Let me give you some statistics why we are where we are, because it's good for you to know. Countries like ours, in the middle income category, they raise between 20 and 25% of their GDP in terms of revenue. But for us, we are at 14%. We need to move the percentage of our revenue from 14% to 25%. We are currently collecting only 2.1 trillion. I want you to pray for our nation so that we can move our revenue from 14% to 25%, because that is where countries like ours are.
Now, Azimio la Umoja leader Raila Amolo Odinga has slammed President William Ruto for betraying Kenyans after authorizing the importation of the genetically modified organisms, or GMOs, into the country. Speaking in a press conference on Sunday, Raila claimed that the decision was made without much deliberation with various parties and public participation.
As we stand right now.
Speaking in Nairobi County on Sunday, the Azimio leader Raila Odinga asked Kenyans to reject the introduction of genetically modified crops GMOs in the Kenyan market, stating that they are harmful.
We ask Kenyans to oppose this move and to totally reject any GMO foods should they ever enter the Kenyan market. Our constitution is clear on the sovereignty of the people on matters both small and large. The president used an outgoing cabinet, which was basically an interim. It really had no powers to pass a decision of this magnitude, to so say that they're removing the ban. That is itself as unprocedural and is illegal.
Odinga took swipe at the President William Ruto for authorizing the importation of GMOs in the country.
For their own, maybe individual benefits. Therefore, they are not doing this in the interest of the people of Kenya.
While defending his stand, Odinga accused the president of being a puppet working for foreign nations.
This move abandons our farmers, seeds, soils, and ecosystems to the benefit of foreigners and their companies. It's a betrayal of our country and our people. The older Kenya Quisha regime will subject Kenyans to unproven and dangerous foods in an attempt to please international interests and do not care about our safety.
The opposition leader also asked the Trade Cabinet Secretary Moses Kuria to apologize to Kenyans over his recent controversial remarks on the GMO.
As a government of Kenya, we cannot hide our heads in the sand anymore. We have taken 2 deliberate steps. One is that we have so many things that can kill us in this country. Being in this country, you are a candidate for death. And because there's so many things competing for death, there's nothing wrong with adding GMO to that list. That is why we have deliberately decided to allow GMOs into this country.
The Azimio Supremo now want William Ruto and the UDA regime to reverse their decision. Shadrack Kareria, Lookuptv.
Leaders from Embu County have decried an increase in mental illnesses and moral decay in the society that have contributed to increased suicide cases and family breakages, among others, in the society. Speaking during the ordination of more than 40 pastors at the Redeemed Gospel Church in Runyenjes in Embu, the leaders observed that the church plays its rightful role in guiding society. Moses Okech reports.
But you be watchful in all things.
As the Watchfulness Hour takes center stage when the society is facing an uproar of suicidal deaths, on Sunday, the clergy with other leaders assembled at Redeemed Gospel Church in Embu County. These men have a heavy task ahead of them, a task to hold steadfast prayers that will prevent cases of family matters, suicides and social disputes among the people, a problem that is destabilizing the value of society.
Sababu ya kufanya hii maombi, tumeona watu wamepata vizanga mingi sana, watu wanajinyonga, mala kuna mioto inachoma nyumba, mala kuna wezi, mala kuna mambo ya ulevi na pombe halamu. So zimekuwa mingi na mambo mengine mpaka DCC akaona ya kwamba inavaa hii mambo iwe na spiritual ama divine intervention.
Unajua siku hizi na nyakati hizi kuna mambo mengi sana ambayo yametokelezea, na sana sana ni jambo dhahiri kana kwamba watu wanajitia kitanzi kwa njia kubwa sana nyakati hizi ambao haijawahi kuwa mbeleni.
According to confident statements from Samuel Ngunyi, who is a bishop at Redeemed Gospel Church, the prayers from the ordained will protect and help the society.
Na ile kazi ambayo moja tunapatia wachungaji ni kana kwamba wanapoendelea kuhubiria washirika na Wakristo wawe na jukumu la kuwapea mashauri, maana mambo mengine hutokelezea si kwa sababu ati ni shetani, mambo mengine hutokelezea maana mawaidha imekosekana.
Churches across the country have been in the forefront to sensitize the public to live with peace among them. Ngunyi says that committing suicide is not the final solution.
Wakati wowote ambao unapoamua kujitia kitanzi, sio kumaanisha shida imekwisha. Na kana kwamba umepata jambo ambalo linakukela na limekufinya, ni vizuri kuweza kutafuta mahusia na masauli kwa watu wa Mungu, sana sana kanisani, ili jambo hilo likaweze kufanywa vizuri.
On her side, Embu County Women Representatives Njoki Njeru urged the government to engage counselors in institutions and schools.
We know that we have a lot of cases of mental health in our families, in our schools, and in our villages. What I would suggest and propose is that the government puts in place counselors in our schools, counselors in our institutions, counselors everywhere, even in the churches. We need to have counselors so that we can have these services, counseling services in these institutions, so that the couples can be counseled well in advance before things get out of hand.
The state of increased number of suicidal deaths is alarming, as well as moral indiscipline witnessed every day, a challenge that seems to be affecting the Class 8 and the Form 4 candidates as they approach to sit for the exams. Counsellors advise that early counselling might save. Moses Okech, Lookuptv.
Right, that particular story by Moses Okech. then it brings us to the end of our morning drift bulletin this morning. Anyway, so some of the stories that we've covered on that particular one are actually going to take center stage on this morning conversation. I do know that Amwai Brown is getting ready with this panel to tackle key areas, especially under insecurity, Yala, and any other bigger conversation that is taking center stage in the country, including GMO as well. Now, under that particular one, I've seen a lot of conversations online that I may want to touch on quickly then, before we take this short break and come back with Abraham Amwai with that conversation as well. I said Raila, majority of Kenyans talking about Raila this morning, him calling William Ruto the puppet of the Western forces. And that's a story that has been carried heavily by the dailies this morning, of him castigating the speedy move towards GMOs in the country. Actually, Raila and GMO conversation has also been tackled hand in hand with that conversation for Raila as well. So it's going to make an interesting conversation this morning. More reason for you then to not move away from your screens or whatever it is that you are using to watch us this morning. Remember, you can be part and parcel of this conversation online at Lookuptv across all your social media platforms. I am at Kiage Simba. I'll be joining you from 11 to 12 for Look at Business. But for now, we take that tiny break. My brand will be back with a bigger conversation this morning.